Okay, so we're live. Good evening, friends. And let's just get the lighting right, because I don't like the spotlight. That is why, okay, it is pretty bright. That is why, okay, that works. So I don't like the spotlight too much. So we got a guest with us tonight. But the question that I had to ask, is he a guest? Because we got a good, we call him a family friend. Some of us call him family. But that is what we all become of each other when we come through the doors over here. And go through different phases and stages and a level of brokenness together. So tonight we've got Clutchy, Luandré, aka Clutchy, that got his nickname over here at RAEL because we all go through different phases and stages. Strange, I'm not seeing. Oh, there we go. There I'm seeing the comments. How's it, everybody? Good evening, Clacker. Hi, Michelle. How's it, Rachel? Good evening, Mr. Wall. Okay, there you are. And our other friends that are watching. So we got a friend of ours here that is a guest, but isn't really a guest because he's family. And that's what happens. Everybody that's watching becomes family, and we do things and relate to things like families do. We remove the stigma. We speak to each other, and we live through it together. Because there's no shame in our backgrounds if we're doing something about it. So Clutchy, you can come and join me here. And how's it, Lucille, Claire, Mom, Chantal, Gladwin, and I tell you, in my opinion, I've seen some people recover, and along my journey I've also seen some that hasn't made it back to recovery yet, and Clutchy was one of those. Let me first tell you how he got his name. He used to you can say hi, Clutchy.
Hello everyone, my name is Luandré Lucas, aka Clutchy. Evening everyone and family and all of the people that's watching. Hope you all are well. And yeah, thanks to Mr. Anthony Hall and Mr. Schuler, RAEL saved my life. And I'll start by saying how my journey started at RAEL, the 4th of December 2019.
Okay, but I'm first going to show you how Clutchy looked. And Clutchy got his name because we used to watch him sometimes from the inside, yeah, and used to have little episodes and things like that, and have a bit of tantrums and all the normal things that people go through when they come into recovery, that people with experience know how to handle. That Mr. Hall taught me from his experience how to handle it. And Clutchy came in looking like this. I hope that you guys can see the picture. That's a before and after. Okay, and he got his nickname because we used to start saying, "Hey, Luandré's clutch is slipping," because he's got a love for cars. He's obviously elevated and gone further into further experiencing some of the skills that he learned here or that he worked on over here, and has done some good work in that since he's left the farm and grown. And his good friend Garth is also watching, and it's lekker to see these names come up. Like Clutchy said, how's it? I hope everybody's alright. And I wanted to say, everybody is alright if their names are popping up on the meetings, because a person that doesn't go to meetings doesn't get to see what happens to a person that doesn't go to meetings, because they go somewhere else then.
Yeah.
Okay, so Clutch doesn't slip anymore, and when it does start slipping a bit, then he's now got the tools to to use when it does start slipping, so that he can get himself back and emotionally strong and all of that. And that's the difference between emotional sobriety and just putting the drug down. And I think Clutchy is the perfect example of going through something where I think where that cliche where they say that it's not recovery that is difficult, but it's the resistance to recovery that is difficult. And I think maybe he can even explain a little bit about at times how difficult he made it for himself, when it was actually just, put the white flag up and surrender and listen to Mr. Hall and myself. And your mom's also watching.
Evening, hello mama.
Okay, so I'm going to let Clutchy tell you about his journey and the beginning of it. He wanted to run away, and all that kind of stuff. And even on the days where he didn't like us, we still loved him. And I think he's also definitely a result of a mother's prayer.
Definitely.
Okay, so Clutchy's going to share his bit of story with us. And I know we said questions and answers, but my question to him was, why did you come back and want to spend a weekend with us? So I think in him telling his journey and how it worked and the times he experienced, and things like that, I think that is the question and that he will be answering.
Okay.
Corona?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, so my journey started at the 4th of December 2019. In the beginning, it was all funny for me and strange to be in a rehab, because it is my first time in a rehab and all of that. So I started experiencing some difficulties and trying to fight the whole time against the system and to not follow what Mr. Anthony Hall and Mr. Schuler is trying to teach us here. So what happened was, I started fighting against the system and stuff. So every day that I woke up, it started affecting me as in a whole. It started affecting me to do the necessary stuff like making your bed, doing devotions without fighting the system. So as I went on, it started a little bit easier and all of that. So I started doing my devotions. I started listening to Mr. Anthony Hall and Mr. Schuler, and it started eventually getting easier and easier as I went along on my path of recovery. So I must say it's very easy if you really let the system work and the program, and it works if you work it. So it helped me a lot to have people like Mr. Anthony Hall and Mr. Schuler and all the other guys that helped me in my journey here at RAEL. So as soon as I started doing what I had to do, it became much easier for me to feel that happy emotion again and to just feel like a normal person again. Started feeling like a normal person, because it really, the spiritual side of your recovery is very important. And I experienced that if I wasn't being honest with myself and doing it to my fullest of capability.
Those are the times that we needed to be honest with you.
Very true, Mr. Schuler. that is very true what Mr. Schuler now said. If it wasn't for those times, I don't know if I would have survived it and if I would have been where I am today. If it wasn't for that and all the guidance and the leadership that was shown upon me. So I must say it really helps you, and it helped me a lot. When I started doing what I had to do, and each day it got easier. So it helped me a lot in my spiritual side and all of that. So I must say very, very much thank you to Mr. Anthony Hall and Mr. Schuler for the tools that they gave me in starting to live my life sober and happy without any mood or mind altering substances. So yeah, and as I went on, it became easier and easier, but there was still days that it challenged me, and it was challenging at the first, but I started doing what I had to do, and I started doing it consistently. And then it just started getting easier and easier for me to do what I have to do, and question everything that they set out for us, and during our day what we must do and all of that, and complain and all of that. So it just became much easier as soon as I started doing what I had to do. And I must say, this program that we practiced here at RAEL, and I'm still practicing outside of RAEL, is really working if you do what you have to do every day and you do it consistently. So yeah, I must say it had a big influence and impact on my life, doing what I have to do here in RAEL and doing it the right way.
Did you always want to do what you had to do?
No, there was so much times that I questioned, and there was even a time that I didn't want to do it anymore, and I ran away. And as soon as I got where I could phone my mom, when I phoned her, she said, "No, it's fine. We are taking you back to RAEL." And that is really that made me realize that this is something that I really need to do, and I really need to start listening to the right people, and the right guidance in life to continue my life and to grow in life, sober and right.
You know, Clutchy, I think if your mom didn't make that decision first of all that day, when you decided to run away, because remember, your best thinking and plans and ideas got you into the state where you needed to get to a rehabilitation center.
Yes.
And I think that is also a good example of what we speak about, where the parents need to put boundaries in and do that kind of stuff as well, and work with the people that are heading the facility and
Yes.
things like that. That's one of our almost defeating problems at times, is when a person comes in and then their own son that's been lying to them for 5+, sometimes up to 30 years, because we do get people that come in at 50 relying on their moms sometimes. We've had a couple, but all because of drug addiction and the chaos that it starts and things like that. And I think what happens is, after a month, parents see the outward progress. They see your cheeks coming nice again. Yeah. They see that you're getting a bit of muscles, and then a month later they come and visit again, and the conversation's going a little bit better and things like that. And possibly like the things that we spoke about last night with the codependency and the enabling and manipulation and things like that, is that in that time, when the body's healed a little bit, and that's why we say that 6 weeks can't work, is because then the body is healed, but the filth is actually on the inside. The inside
Yes.
needs healing.
Yes.
Because it's easy for anybody in any state to do the things outwardly. I mean, besides like the alcoholics now, but I'm sure there's just, this is just so that people can relate, that there's been people like hectic babalas and hung over at work at times, and outwardly you can still operate.
Yeah.
I'm sure when things happen in other people's lives and things like that, and the priority is to go to work and still do your job, even though you've suffered a loss of a loved one, that's in the extreme case, or a situation that is to do with emotions and things like that, you still need to go and do what you need to do, and the outward part is the easy part.
Yeah.
You know, and it's what's going on inside when somebody, because addicts don't like authority. And like I said in last night's meeting, human nature and the way it's going now, nobody wants to be told, nobody wants to be corrected, and we always want to be right. Yeah. And I think that is very defeating. But in your case, your parents have worked so closely alongside with us and things like that, and that is ultimately the way that we get results, is because we involve the families, we stay in contact, we do all of that. I just think one question I do want to ask you, and it's because I've been through it, is that and I only ask you this because this is how we define and
Yeah.
come out of isolation, so that I can see that I'm normal, so that you can see that you're normal, is that those first few meetings, you cried in every meeting when we spoke about family, things like that.
Yeah.
And I think that was that part of your journey where the denial of you needing or wanting help maybe started, where you realized what you had been doing to your family wasn't right. Because it's always strange to me that the people that we've been hurting the most, and that's the closest to us, those are the very first
Yeah.
those are the very first people that we cry for.
Yeah.
And yet, because we suffer from an illness that tells us we don't have an illness,
Yes.
yet those are the same people that we want to manipulate and hurt again in 2 months' time,
Yeah.
and tell them how bad the place is. Yet we want to claim that we healed from the place that's so bad.
Yeah, that's very true, Mr. Schuler.
What would you say that is the first thing that you try and fill the hole in the soul in? Like you come in, you go through your bit of a detox, you have your bit of attitude and all of that, but we have to limit our luxuries list, yeah, obviously, because we don't want to put, it's not a necessity, we don't want to put extra pressure onto parents and things like that. So so how has luxuries and sugar contributed to your psyche or attitude, even when something as small as not being able to get 8 spoons of sugar in your tea, because that's what people want when they get you.
Yeah.
And then when we put 2 in, then they tell their parents that we don't give them enough sugar.
Yeah, I know.
And the parents sometimes believe the same person that's been lying to them for the last 12 years.
Yes, that's very true. I would say, Mr. Schuler, I was one of those people that I was trying to fill the hole in the hole in my soul with luxuries and all of that, instead of maybe just trying to do the right way and filling that hole in the soul with spiritual and devotions and just doing the following the program and doing your step work and trying to take the inner, how can I say, your inner filth outside, to take that out and to recover and to replace it with new ways of living sober and living the right way on the right path. So I think that I was one of those people that I was trying to fill that hole in the soul with luxuries and all of that. And the thing is, I came to realize that if you're trying to fill that with luxuries and all of that, the luxuries is just going to be done in a couple of days or so, and then it's going to be back to that square one where you were at with that hole in your soul.
Do you think it's a possible a beginning stage? Because everybody goes through that beginning stage, and it lasts up to between a month, sometimes up to 2, and in extreme, I don't want to say uitgevriet cases, but in extreme cases, up to 3 months sometimes before it subsides. Do you think that is possible substitution for instant gratification?
Well, I think it could partially be for instant gratification, because I'm also one of those guys, or I used to be, or I'm still a little bit like that, but I like to have that instant gratification when I do something. I almost want to have that instant gratification of saying, oh, well done, my boy, or well done, Clutchy, that you've done this and that, which is and that's my wrong part of being like that. So yeah, that is very true. That's how I used to be.
Okay, so I like the way you've been telling the truth and things like that so far. I think maybe you can. Did you have any fun times on the farm?
For sure, a lot of fun times, Mr. Schuler. Yo, I can collaborate a bit about it.
Yes, of course. Tell us about it.
I've had a lot of fun times at RAEL. As soon as I started,
just not about the upside down.
No.
Okay.
Gladwin will know a little bit more about that. But as soon as I started doing the right thing, and as soon as I started following all the instructions and stuff that I got by Mr. Anthony Hall and Mr. Schuler, I really started enjoying my journey here. I found a new journey inside of myself. I found I could enjoy life without having sometimes luxuries or cigarettes or whatever you normally what I normally would like to have, and to act like that again. So I found so much fun times here with working with the guys, or not, you can't even call it work, it's fun times in recovery that we used to do even in the workshop with Graham and some of the other guys. I found a new way of living which is so enjoying. And there was even some of the times that we went on hikes and we go down to the river and all of that, and I must say it's things like that must interest you in life without even trying to get the benefit or anything. It's stuff like that showed me here at RAEL what I can actually enjoy without doing anything or without accepting or expecting anything in return. And that was very times for me. And I must say that in normal meetings, I've never been in meetings in my life before I came to RAEL and stuff, and that is now part of my journey and part of my recovery. And that's one of the parts of my recovery that I enjoy the most. That I need that meeting. It makes me feel, it gives me that sense of relief and that sense of, how can I say, okayness, if I have that meeting or if I have that guidance spoken on me. So yeah, that was the most fun times at RAEL, and there's so much I can say about the fun times I had here. Yo, it's unlimited fun times actually that you go through here. If as soon as you start doing the right thing and accepting there's a head of the home and there's a manager that is just trying to direct you in the right way, because they've been through this road already and they've been walking this road for a long time. So as soon as I started accepting that and started listening, it became so fun for me to be around Mr. Anthony Hall and Mr. Schuler and most of the other guys, the leadership and the sober living. It's really a wonderful place to be at. And that's also one of the reasons that I came to visit this weekend, because I was missing that feeling of, how can I say, that feeling of not authority, but I can say authority, because it's nice to have someone like Mr. Anthony Hall and Mr. Schuler guiding you in the right way. And now it's benefiting me. I'm benefiting from that. I'm feeling so at ease that I am doing this and I'm on this road of recovery. And I must say, it's all thanks to Mr. Anthony Hall and Mr. Schuler. They've given me the building blocks to build my foundation strong without any other things that I have sometimes on my mind or get. When the clutch is slipping, when I think, okay, no, I don't need this guidance or I don't need my parents' guidance or anything. And that's when I must check myself, because that's when you are going to a very dangerous place. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, you can hear that you were taught here. That is nice. Okay, yeah, I think obviously you touched on our social activities and things like that.
Touch on that his thoughts were that he's going to drink when he leaves it.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, obviously our resources were limited during the lockdown and all that kinds of things. Clutchy done a 6-month program that we believe can work for people when the loved ones is on our side, when we go forward in still being a family and not just forget his name, not just forget that he was ever here, stay in contact, even though it's his responsibility to make the first contact, and that's what he's done. That is, he's got great support from his family, which when I say family, I mean his family at home and his family here at RAEL. We always see his name up on the evening meetings and things like that. And we've had fun. Yeah, I don't know if Garth will remember the Kankerbossy tea, and we get to know each other. We get to socialize in a way where I don't need alcohol or a drug or something from the pharmacy to relax me or to make me feel more confident. We restore and we rebuild all these different things, and it's been a journey on its own to watch Clutchy, and I think this is the rewarding part of the phone calls of the parents crying and the pressure and the devastation and things like that we see at every robot in my hometown now has got people standing at it, where it used to be sort of on the bigger roads only before. It's at every robot.
Yeah.
And to see that a person that was headed that way, that if we could change one person at a time, or change the world for that person, maybe not change the world,
Yeah.
that it is and becomes rewarding. And I think the biggest part, yeah, Clutchy's face when he drank that tea was priceless. Definitely, Michelle, I remember
Yes.
that. And I always tell the people, like yes, there were parts of the addiction that maybe before I was an addict, or before the wheels came off, or before the chaos part, that was fun. Otherwise I wouldn't have carried on doing it. But there was a time that it went overboard and I couldn't get back on board. And that is where RAEL helped me the same way that they've helped you.
Yeah.
And
Really true.
and given you that set of skills where it's filled the whole pizza of life, where the one slice is hygiene, the one slice is discipline, the other slice is work ethic, and then you've obviously got your program when it comes to spiritual, emotional,
Yes.
mental, physical, and that. And yeah, there was a stage just before Clutchy had left, and we were worried, because he kept on this thing that he's gonna have a dope for our American friends, that he's gonna have a drink of alcohol when he leaves, and that is one of the most defeating things to get across to parents and people and loved ones of addicts, is that sometimes they think they have a drug problem. It's fine, offer him a beer. But at the end of the day, those people don't know, but the addict themselves has been educated and has been, if they've been to a rehab like this, then they have been educated. And it's at the end of the day, like I said, Clutchy reaching out to us, it's been his responsibility all the time.
Yeah.
And then it's been my responsibility to reply back. When he reaches out, then I have to reach back. And that's how we form a chain and a bond and grow stronger together and keep it everyone going forward. So we always say that the program, when it's taught and done right, like it is here, because you don't have another choice here. When you get here, you're going to do recovery the way that it's taught over here, because we only teach from our own experience. So Mr. Hall passes his experience onto the next one, like Richie, that's got just over 3 years, like Graham, that's got just over 5,
Right.
Freddie, that's got 6, and there's a long list of names of people, Big J, and these are people that Mr. Hall has walked alongside through this journey, through different baffling times in their lives and things like that. And do you think that the aftercare and the staying in contact, how do you think that has contributed to your recovery after leaving here? I know that in times I faced times when I would leave a facility, like I did when I stopped listening over here in 2016. Yeah. And like you said earlier, when you start listening and things like that, which also means that maybe we got a listening problem instead of a drug problem to begin with.
Yeah.
So we sort out the listening problem, because the drugs are gone now.
Yeah.
And I think you're a better listener now as well.
Yeah, most definitely. And because I want to listen, is the difference.
Okay, because you're getting the rewards and the results from listening.
Yeah.
Okay. And I think that I used to find when I left here, I felt so alone and isolated and found it difficult to fit into a place.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you maybe want to speak a little bit about the aftercare journey and things like that.
Yeah. So that what Mr. Schuler now said about him fitting in, sometimes struggling to fit in. I'm actually, to be honest, I'm actually starting to experience that now that I'm outside and at home and doing what I have to do and all of that. And I'm not like going out, but I don't feel like I fit in, but it feels different to to go somewhere, and then it feels different than what it felt before. Because obviously I'm sober now and all of that, and the emotions and all of that is back. But it's very important to stay in contact and to keep listening to the meetings or whatever Mr. Hall and them will post online and live and that, because that, I feel that's some of my building blocks that has to carry on for the foundation. And that, if I haven't done that, I don't know if to be honest, I don't know if I would have been sitting here sober tonight, and even sitting here on the RAEL Farm visiting the guys and visiting Mr. Anthony Hall and Mr. Schuler, because that's for me, that plays a big part in my sobriety. That after the rehab and after my time here, to stay in contact and to stay like asking Mr. Anthony Hall and Mr. Schuler questions if you start feeling a little bit, maybe you start feeling a little bit funny, and you maybe feel like, okay, no, you're getting
Funny,
maybe,
meaning emotions that you're not used to.
yes, funny
Because-
emotions, and
because when you felt in a way that you didn't like feeling before,
yeah,
isn't that when sometimes
that's
you
when
put
you
drugs in your body?
yeah, that's when you
to feel
use the
different?
drug, yeah, that's when
Okay.
that's exactly like that, Mr. Schuler.
All right. Would you say Mr. Hall's a nasty person? I can ask you that now because you've been honest about a lot of things.
No, not at all, because
Did you think he was nasty at the time, on the days when you weren't doing the right thing?
most definitely I thought that it's funny that how I thought that back then. I thought Mr. Hall is doing me, he's not doing me a favor, or he's trying to be nasty. But meantime, what he was trying to do is trying to lead me in the right way. That's the thing. He was trying to lead me in the right way and giving me that building blocks that he already has, and he's giving me that advice to live better and to make better decisions, and just to have a better mindset on life terms.
Okay, now I want you to do the unlimited direct for us. No, don't. That you will have to see on a live show sometime when Clutchy is rich and famous. But I think maybe I want to ask you about, and this is usually a touchy subject in recovery, because first of all, it doesn't matter your background, your education level, where you've been, where you come from, what you've been doing, and things like that contribute now in 2020 to you using drugs. You know, maybe in 1990 you could say that I come from a bad area or a good area, or my parents abused drugs, or today you can't even blame it on that anymore.
Yeah.
Because I've met people who their parents abuse drugs, and the one child ends up using and the other one doesn't. So obviously maybe it affects people differently and things like that. But the availability and things like that of the drugs is that it doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't, because the pharmacies also, there's a couple of pharmacies in all the areas as well, and we know how the doctors write scripts nowadays.
Sure. Sure.
Next meeting I'll ask you to explain the difference between methadone and heroin, and it'll just be a one-liner because it's the same thing. You know what I mean? And it's a touchy subject for lots of people, because like last night we spoke about the codependency and the hurts and all of that the families go through. I want you to maybe touch on your relationship with your parents, maybe a week before you came in, and not too deep into the personal situation,
Yeah.
but how the relationship was then to now while
Yeah.
you've been at home, because I mean you've obviously spent a lot of time with them at home like that, and obviously part of it being the lockdown, and I know you do work from home as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think maybe do you wanna touch on with your family, maybe even up to 3 weeks, you know,
Yeah,
just
yeah.
that time frame of how it was over there, and sort of how it rebuilt, and all of that, because after all, RAEL stands for saving lives and uniting families, you know.
Yes.
And I think for now this is the perfect example of what has happened there.
Yeah.
And all we want is, I don't give you praise, but well done. And my main purpose and point of this is that somebody that's got a broken family due to drugs and addiction and things like that,
Yeah.
because that is what they're yearning for, that is what they want, can maybe find what you found with your family now.
Yeah.
And what many of us have found with our families as well.
Yeah. No, it's very true, Mr. Schuler. Like before, when I got here, I could see this in my family, in the whole environment at home. It was a very, how can I say, very touchy and uncomfortable feeling of my parents, the way they treated me and all of that, and all the way I treated my parents. I could feel that sense of tension between my parents, because I'm not doing the right thing and I'm abusing them basically, and physically and probably mentally. But yeah, it just shows you that it takes a long time for you to earn back, to get that, to see that release and behavior when their son or daughter or loved one is doing the right thing and trying to do the right thing. So what happened was, my first visit that I got here, I could still see that my parents, they are a little bit better, but I could still see my dad is very, how can I say, he's still skrikkerig. He's still a little bit scared, and he's still not really sure if his son is really wanting to do this and staying on the right path. And what happened was, it started getting easier and easier, and I could see my parents starting to bond more when they get here. I could see the difference at each visiting day, that it's starting to go back, and slowly but surely it's starting to, they're building more trust in me, and obviously in each other. They don't have that tension anymore between each other and all of that. And now that after my 6 months, when I went home, I could have seen the change in my parents, the way they operate.
Yeah, I just wanna stop you there, or not stop you, but maybe just in between that. I think, you know, one of the most nerve-wracking things that I've heard from parents is the son or the daughter or the addict returning home after rehab. You know, because sometimes they've been to countless rehabs, sometimes they've been through different correctional programs and things like that, and could you feel that there was a little bit of nervousness in the house, and you know?
Yeah, most definitely. I could feel that in myself, and I could feel it in my parents' behavior also.
Where there was almost like a walking on eggshells vibe, like the boundaries must be in, but they also they don't want to handcuff you to the bed, kind of thing.
Yes, most surely, and that's where it came in also to myself, to have that, put that boundaries onto yourself, to not do, how can I say, like your parents will maybe allow you to do that and that, but you know for sure, you know that is not going to help you, or that's just maybe gonna pull you down again into the web of the negativity going around in the world with wrong friends and places and stuff. So for sure, there was definitely a little bit of, like you said, like walking on eggshells and all of that, but it's slowly also starting to ease. It's starting to get
so
better.
I can obviously definitely hear that that different parts of the program has worked in you, where you admit now, obviously, that it's the person in recovery's own responsibility
Yes.
to do the necessary and things like that. But one of the biggest traits of a person attempting recovery or doing recovery, I must tell our friends that are watching tonight, is that the very people and persons that they want close to them when they're in the recovery center, and those are the people that are supporting them and looking after them and all of that, is when they get home, then part of the cunning, baffling and powerful sort of illness is that that then they start drifting away from these very people again.
Yeah.
So do you think that's maybe even I think that is a form of destruction, because when you're in your normal sort of state and you're practicing the program, because that's the normalist state that I've been at, or that I'm gonna get to without my clutch slipping, you know what I mean? Is
True.
that when I'm practicing the program, I'm doing what I need to do on a daily basis.
Yes.
And on a daily basis means that's where that saying comes from, where it says that that recovery is never owned.
Yeah.
It's rented, and rent is due daily for recovery. And on a daily basis, I think that the program has to be practiced in different ways as we get through different situations in the day and things like that. Have you felt that the tools that we've given you for family and things like that has worked in your household for you to not have it must have worked, because you're sitting here and like any household has their disagreements and things like that, because it's normal, because even a household without addicts have disagreements.
True.
You know what I mean?
That's exactly
and addiction is obviously a more touchy and hurtful subject in the household. Do you think that you've been equipped correctly for the things that you've faced and things like that?
Well, I would say yes. That is very so, Mr. Schuler, because I can feel that if it wasn't for what I've been taught here about families and how you must love your parents and all of that, it has definitely it is been working, but you must carry on working that same procedure and routine to carry on doing it like that.
Okay, so it's obviously worked where the parents are involved and my house, my rules.
True. That
is where and what it's come to for you, and yeah, no, definitely. I think that would you have listened to what your parents had told you 8 months ago if they said no, this is a bad idea?
Not a chance. Not a chance. I wouldn't have. And that's so funny. I won't say I catch myself out actually, and it's actually good for me to see that whenever my parents tell me now that they give me advice to maybe on this or that that I actually take this advice for the first time in my life. I actually take this advice, this good advice that they give me, and it's so nice for me to see that I'm starting actually to listen to what my parents are trying to say to me and trying to teach me. If I ask them maybe if I about a situation or something and they give me the advice and go through, and then I also get the sense of peace in my soul and in my heart that it's actually what my parents are telling me is very true, and normally back then, before the program or before I came to RAEL, I would have never listened to that type of advice, and so that's definitely what has changed, and it's actually helping me and it's guiding me into the right direction. I'm so glad that RAEL and Mr. Anthony Hall and Mr. Schuler came upon my life, and even Richard also played a big role in my recovery.
You didn't like Richard every day, huh?
Yes, that was very true. But yeah, that's how it was.
Okay. And that is the way it is, eh? That we've all got this picture in our mind sometimes. Do you think that that if you had a picture in your mind, which most people do when they come into the recovery center, do you think that the picture that you're living now is better than the picture that you had in your mind?
Most definitely. That's most definitely much better than what I had in my mind. Then most definitely, Mr. Schuler.
Because most of the time what happens is, up until the guys take on the program, they're romancing about briars and booze and jawling.
That was me. That was me. Exactly me what you're saying now.
Okay. So then I can't
that
be wrong.
plan, that picture is painted a whole different story now. What I thought I was going to do and what I thought, all different now.
Okay, so I think it's been quite insightful and productive, and it's always good to have a family member of RAEL over here. I definitely have to say, thank you to your parents and things like that for putting the suggested boundaries in. For example, that when you left here and you make a phone call and you say I'm coming home or whatever, is that they need to shut that door and say that you don't have a home.
Yes.
Unless
Yes.
you do this and that.
Yes.
Because if they don't do that, they wouldn't have had a son now.
Yeah, that's very true.
They wouldn't have had a son now.
That's very true, yes.
And so I think it's been beneficial to not only you, but it's been rewarding to us here as well to have worked with you, to see a family unite. They say that that one addict affects up to 13 people. So if it's 13 less people that is facing any kind of pain or anything, then we've done our job, whether you liked us sometimes or not. But our biggest aim and goal is for you to be reunited with your family, and for you to stay sober and to reach your full potential.
Yes.
Which you are on your way to. I know that you like the workshop a lot.
Yeah.
You've showed me some pictures of you spraying and things like that. And I think the point that we're trying to get to here is that people need to be treated differently because they're in recovery, but not because they need to be rewarded for their recovery.
True, yeah.
But addiction, because it's to a certain extent self-inflicted, we get very looked down upon, and so do the families, and that is why I think this is a special meeting, in the sense of it being RAEL Orange Friday. Thank you, everybody. I see lots of little ribbons over there.
Yeah.
Don't forget World Addiction Day. For all of us that suffer. And I say it all the time, that and you made a clear example. I mean, you told your story, I didn't.
Yeah.
Is that how your family was affected? We've seen it in the parents' eyes here, where people have walked in here that I personally know, and I haven't seen them for 10 years, and they look older. They looked younger, or they've aged 18 times as much as what they should have in a year or two, and then you witness people's families getting younger.
Yes.
As the person stays here and does their thing, you see the family's eyes light up. You see the family coming together and things like that, and I think it's important with it being an Orange Friday and being able to create awareness and things like that. I see Angus is wearing his Orange Friday slops. Okay, we always say walk in our shoes, and then and then hurt your feet,
Yeah.
and then see if we judge it in the same way. And that when I mean that, I don't mean the person that is using the drugs. I mean the fathers that is walking in their shoes of their loved one that is using, of their loved one that is at the robots or whatever. And I think it's highly unrecognized for people who are teenagers or in their mid-20s whose parents are full-blown addicts that haven't found recovery. That is so unrecognized. So thank you to the parents that have helped us get this result
For sure.
with you, because this is something, people, that we should be doing together. And that is what we're trying to do with these videos. So thank you all for attending, and I just wanna read something to you that in my opinion, that I must first say this, that there was days and times that, look, first of all, we don't give up on anybody here, but there was days and times that we walked outside or sometimes sat on the veranda or stoop there by Uncle Brian, because that's a nice place to sit on the farm. You can in the mornings you can watch the sun come up, and if you stand around, watch the sun go down on the other side with all the mountains and all of that. It looks beautiful with the snow and things at the moment. And we would look at this guy, and over here we want people to be who they think they are, because most of the time people get here and they're not even sure who they are anymore.
True, yeah.
You know, and excuse me, and there was many times where we'd look at Clutchy and we'd say, sure, a lot of work and a lot of prayer. and I think there was one specific day where I don't know what had changed or what you decided or whatever, but you were walking faster. There was a whiter, sort of brighter light in your eyes, and you started doing your thing. I think that could have been the day that you surrendered and accepted that you were here and that you needed to do certain things. You know, and the biggest sort of advice that I can give you going forward is that don't stop listening.
True. That's very important.
When I stopped listening, I almost died.
Yeah.
It wasn't before that the real near death experiences had occurred. So yeah, thank you all for watching this evening, and you know, blessed to be sitting with another person that used to jaw it up on a Friday, cause chaos, cause shit, cause mayhem, and I know that I don't need to be worried about a warrant of arrest for myself.
True.
I don't need to worry. I never used to worry about coming out of my blackout and not knowing which way is home, but because I was selfish, and I'm sure my family used to worry about that, about the situations we used to get ourselves into. Where has he gone now? What is he doing? And that must be very stressful for a family to go through. So thank you Luandré.
Thank you very much, Mr. Schuler.
I think it's great that you know how to. You know what happens when a clutch slips? The revs go up, and the clutch slips, and the car doesn't go forward the way it's supposed to go. So Clutchy's revs used to go up, and he used to carry on and do the same thing, and then he started calming down, and the clutch started taking, and he started moving forward slowly. And now when there's a little bit of a slip, like I said, he's got the tools to contact us, to phone us, and his parents also have their toolkit that they use and communicate with us and things like that, which at the end of the day we've by God's grace saved a life.
Most
And
definitely.
I just want to close off with this. and it's purely by God's grace, and this is how we pass it on. That is how it was passed on from Mr. Hall sponsors, like he says. That is how he's passed it on to us and the other people that's been through the program, and I'm sure this is how Clutchy gives another man or another family hope that yes, see, there wasn't many people that have ever been thinner than me, but I think you were one of them, Clutchy.
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah.
I just wanna, before I close off, show you that picture again, and then I want to read this to you. So you've come a lekker long way, Clutchy. I just want to show you guys the picture again. It's reflecting here badly now. That is Clutchy, and I'm just going to close off with how it works. Rarely have we seen a person fail who has thoroughly followed our path. Those who do not recover are people who cannot or will not completely give themselves to this simple program. Remember, it's not a difficult program. The difficult part about the program is our resistance to it. Usually men and women who are constitutionally incapable of being honest with themselves. There are such unfortunates. They are not at fault. They seem to have been born that way. They are naturally incapable of grasping and developing a manner of living which demands a rigorous honesty. And we had to be honest with Clutchy until he could be honest with himself, until he could see that light. Their chances are less than average. There are those too who suffer from grave emotional and mental disorders. We're seeing much more of those as the tick, and especially the tick and dacha. When people say, I'm just smoking weed, or I'm just using dacha, or when parents phone and say he's just using weed. Hey! And he's just using weed or whatever. That is the highest rate of mental illness that the people are being affected with at the moment. Just weed. Just mental illness. That is the result of weed at the moment. But many of them do recover if they have the capacity to be honest. Our stories disclose in a general way what we used to be like, what happened, and what we are like now. If you have decided what you want what we have, and are willing to go to any length to get it, you are ready to take certain steps.
Dogs are trippy.
Yes. But it's fine, they'll protect us in case anybody wants to cause farm murders.
Definitely.
If you decide what you want what we have and are willing to go to any length to get it, then you are ready to take certain steps. And I think that on a daily basis, that is part of the toolkit that we teach here, and you've taken that step. So thank you all for watching.
Yes.
And hopefully we reach somebody that was in the same position as Clutchy and his family, and we continue to help removing the stigma attached to addiction. So we'll continue doing what we do, because that is what keeps us sober and helps the next guy to get sober.
Yes.
Lekker to have you, Clutchy. Good to see all the regular names and a couple of new ones pop up there. And we ask you to share our experience, strength, and hope, because that's all we can sell here. We can only sell hope to those families that are in the situations and state of despair and worry that our families were in a good couple of Friday nights ago.
Yes.
So thank you all, and share if you care. # RAEL Orange Friday.
Good night.